Hi guys, welcome to Signal Path. Today we're doing something a little bit different because we are talking about this. My new baseboard. This is something that I built the last couple of weeks, and it's been a labor of love to figure out exactly kind of what makes it onto the board and really what I wanted from a baseboard in general. So, I think as many can relate, as guitarists, there are often odd moments where somebody calls in sick or there's just, the need. Guitar ends up becoming the transferable skill over to bass. And that's been happening increasingly for me. At the same time, I'm also doing more and more bass stuff on the channel and elsewhere. And that was really exposing the need for a good baseboard. And so that's what I built here. And there's a few kind of things that were really, really important to me with this build. One is that it's very compact. I think in the guitar space, if you've seen my rigs, they tend to be a little bit expansive, cumbersome, annoying. And usually if I'm playing bass, it needs to be in and out. And I think it's an interesting note on how we build rigs in general. Not everything needs to be the kitchen sink, and actually, lack of creative constraints, I think, actually lead to less creativity. And so that was a little bit of the intent here, to kind of quickly walk through what's on the board. On the front, we've got the canvas tuner. That's sort of kind of the input here. The woolly Mammoth from Zvex, the Kali 76 Stacked Edition, bass micro synth from EHX, and I would say sort of the cornerstone of the entire rig, the Origin Bassrig Super Vintage, which is this phenomenal kind of SVT emulation in this really sturdy, robust, incredible sounding analog mod. The bass rig and the woolly Mammoth are going to have dedicated demos. That's something that's coming. But for today, I just kind of wanted to cue this up because I think it's an interesting thing to think about what are the constants in our creative process. For me, bass has really become a constant. I don't really want to tweak my bass tones over and over again. I want that to be something that is consistent in my process so that guitar gets to be the focus, and the things that I'm tweaking, there's some regularity in the foundation. And so compact rig, super, super fun. A bit of a change for me. It all fit really, really cleanly. I need to tie up the cables, but I've got a Creation Aero series with the Strymon Ojai on the bottom. Turned out really, really well. So let's dive into some of the sounds, talk through kind of why I built this the way we did. But yeah, that's the bass rig. Let's go quickly through the signal chain. Starting at the top, the canvas tuner is my tuner in mute, and that runs into the woolly Mammoth from Zvex, which is kind of handling general low end and fuzz. The Kali 76 Stacked Edition is sort of my all things compression and boost and shaping. It really adds a nice sustain and roundness to the tone. Bass micro synth, all things drive and synthesizer. And the bass rig really is the cornerstone of the entire rig. It's we're currently kind of listening to the XLR out cab sim, which is really all I ever use with it. I don't really run it into another amp. This is the end of the chain. Sounds great, but I'm using it basically for all of my tone shaping, all of my bass tones at large, and kind of home bass is right about here. It sounds like this. A little bit of scoop, but kind of that nice jangle and kind of the upper end. Ultra high is on. We're going to go kind of do a deep dive on this, but I find for like rock stuff especially, having that kind of nice evenness through to the high end is really, really nice and makes it kind of easy to mix with. And the Bassrig Super Vintage just sounds amazing. It doesn't just do rock, though. It does some really, really incredible things with kind of just mellow and more low-end focused sound. So if I'm going for something a little bit mellower, I'll bring the gain down and I'll probably kick on the compressor. feels like it really wears a lot of different hats very, very well. So that's a little bit about how I have that set up. We'll kind of live in a little bit higher gain land though for the time being. So first up is, in terms of effects, is the Woolly Mammoth. And the Woolly Mammoth is just really all things kind of gain and fuzz, but it's just got this rich, insane low end. As you can see, whether you need it to like clank or just fill out or just drone, the Woolly Mammoth really has something for everything kind of in the rock space, which is just a ton of fun. But I've got kind of a full video coming for guitar tones with the Woolly Mammoth and a little bit more in-depth on the features, but that's kind of how I'm using that. We touched on the compressor, but with high gain sounds, you definitely, this has so much boost on tap that bringing back the volumes tends to be a little bit helpful, just noise-wise. Even for rock tones, I feel like it feels more like record ready when you've got the compressor on. It feels like it fills out some nice gaps in the playing. Yeah, it just sounds great overall. And finally, the microsynth, which is maybe the craziest, I feel like, of the feature sets of the pedals, but I think it sounds really, really killer for all things synthesizer. Really, the microsynth, while it does do synth things, it really, I think, shines as a drive, and the square wave voice specifically kind of has this fuzziness to it, that especially when cranked. So what I like to do is kind of crank up the square wave and bring down the cutoff a little bit and kind of just find the right balance for the track that I'm using it on. So sometimes the darker tone's more useful. Sometimes it's a little bit like it kind of gets in the way of what you're going for in terms of aggression. So kind of feeling out those cutoff sliders. It gets pretty weird, but I mean, sometimes weird is the right thing, right? But this thing's not only rock and roll. It has this just really nice kind of filled out low end and kind of the octave up, octave down. Just the sub octave. You can even kind of accentuate that over the guitar. I really love like really dark bass tones. So I get kind of lost in the filtering there quite a bit. But yeah, I mean that's the Bassrig. I wanted something, and this is, I think it's something I'm curious about. The other guitarists in the set that have occasional bass duties, do you guys just operate the same way? Like, is your bass board as big as your guitar board? For me, I wanted something that was compact and just ready to go, and I feel like this covers tons and tons of territory. There's still, I think, just with bass being a shorter journey for me so far, I think it's there's still a ton to explore, even with only a handful of pedals and effects overall. So it's something I've really been kind of enjoying the exploration, but I'm liking the mix that we've hit. But I'm curious, what goes on the perfect bass rig? Is the bass rig not complete without an auto filter? Does it need a chorus? Does it need a reverb? What are your bass non-negotiables? I think these are mine, but yeah, I'm curious about your thoughts. Anyways, thanks for watching.